What's going on, beautiful people? Thank you for returning back to my channel, The Root Wave. In this episode, a little impromptu episode, we're going to be talking about the adult dating fuckery. I have two good friends here with me, Jandy and Jess. Say hello, Jandy, first.
Hi, how are you? How's everybody?
That's Jandy. And then we have Jess. Say hello.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
All right, so they're joining me in this conversation because I think they have enough experience to talk about it. It's something that, even though the episode was impromptu, it was necessary to kind of, hey, let's just sit down and talk about it, right? Right, ladies?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this subject. And this subject comes along at what I guess the three of us share, which is older in age. We're definitely older than our 20s. We don't have to say exact date, but explain to me what's happening in the dating world when it comes to, now, even though you guys are going to talk about the guys, I want the audience to still have that idea that it's being spoken about in regards to male and female as well, right? So you guys are going to just tell me, let's start from the beginning when it comes to the courting side of dating and how the fuckery is involved in those first steps. Who wants to go first?
So I can start. I think the biggest problem is there is no courting. People hit you up like on DM and they're like, so that's you, or what up, ma? And it's like, dude, I'm a little too mature for all of that. That's like high school stuff. Guys don't know how to approach women anymore. I think that's a big deal. And I think sometimes women don't know how to speak to men either. So it's become this thing where no one knows how to talk to each other. And it's just like this vicious cycle and you get caught up in it. And if you're different, then you just are like an outlier and don't know where you fit in.
Right.
At least that's what I find.
Right. What about you, Jandy?
I find that the men I tend to meet present themselves to be one way and only end up to be something else. In the sense of, it's almost as if like, because I'm very clear on what I'm looking for. Like if there's, I know exactly where I'm at in my life. I know exactly what I'm looking for. I make it very clear that I'm not looking for something silly, something to waste my time. Like if you're here to really pursue something serious, I'm with it. If not, then I need you to keep it pushing. And for whatever the reason, it's almost as if I feel like they tell you exactly what it is that you want to hear for the meantime. And then once they're at an area where they're like, okay, you know, it's either they in the beginning are either interested or they're really not, and they're saying these things to kind of like make you feel a certain way, only for them to then that fuckery to come out at some time. And the thing is that, you know, we're at a point in our lives where stop wasting my time. I got things to do.
Okay, so so let's play devil's advocate because the females are doing the same thing out here. I can attest.
I know.
Right.
I
so
know that.
they be out here doing some crazy shit, and I think the reason I wanted to start with the courting is because it can also be said that even people who we would say, just like us three, right, like really good average people, still fall for it because at the courting stage, we can clearly see like if they're DMing or they're like treating it as like they're ordering a fucking slice of pizza, then we should already be like, hey, it stops right here. Right, but the problem is that it gets through. So what I want to know is how does it get through in regards to your guys' experience?
What do you mean how to get?
So so you know, if you look back at some of the people you might have spoken to that you've actually progressed somehow in some type of way, whether it be hooking up or relationship, and then you leave, right? And then a lot of times you look back and you're like, yo, this dude was a fuckboy or some shit like that, right? And then you're like, damn, I should have known because from jump he was reaching out to me this certain way or whatever. But what I want to know is how did you guys allow that or miss that part, right? Because I have also experience in that too. So I'm going to say my part as well. But how do you guys feel like, damn, it got through? Like, how did they get through to the next step?
Okay. I see what you're saying now. I think what happens is that in the beginning, because you're in the beginning stage and you're still kind of getting to know the individual, I find where I want to give the person the benefit of the doubt. And I think sometimes, um, you know, I'm not that chick that's gonna be all up in your phone calling you 24. I'm just not gonna do that. So I have to, go with whatever it is that you're telling me, and I have to allow you to show me. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I can't accuse you in the beginning of anything because I don't know you. So I have to give you the benefit of the doubt that whatever it is that you're saying, you're doing or not doing, whatever, I got to go with it. It's not until I think maybe a month or two into it where I find that he's not being um, more persistent, or he's not, I would say, the level of inconsistencies, and it depends, because I before this guy that I just recently walked away from, the one previous to him called me all the time. He was consistent. He just wasn't consistent in his actions, but he reached out to me all the time. So it can get a little confusing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's yeah.
What about you, Jess?
I kind of agree. I completely agree with her. I feel like people will show you, it's kind of like an interview. They show you their best foot when you first meet them. And then after a while, you kind of start peeling back the layers. And I'm like a firm believer of when people show you who they are, you believe them. Because people, like, you start seeing, but unfortunately, you don't start seeing those red flags until you've started already forming an attachment to these people, because they have sold you this story or this dream of who they are. And then it turns out that they're sometimes complete opposite of what they've portrayed themselves to be. And it's really disconcerting and it's disappointing as well. And then you get caught up feeling like, how did I miss that? And then you start
Right.
second guessing yourself and thinking like, what am I doing wrong? When in reality, it's just they weren't keeping it real, you know?
Right. Well, I like that you guys brought up that point because I've also gone through the same thing where people are just telling you something. You're like, all right. And then later you kind of get shitted on and you're like, damn, like
Mm-hmm.
the actions didn't go with the words. And why didn't I see that? So I felt like, number one, that's one good thing that we need to like take from all of this, that people just in general, regardless of female or male, are not paying attention to the fact that they're not being aware of these signs or aware of the fact that people may say one thing but aren't doing the other. And I feel the same way with, like, it's a good point that we're talking about it because I feel like we're the same way with everything, right? Like with the
Mm-hmm.
government, with money, with like just we give the benefit of the doubt when honestly actions should be talking first before anything
Yeah.
else, the
Right.
actions, right? So yeah, I mean, it's good to bring up because it's like fascinating that even though here we could sit here and say, you know, they gave us the false interview play. It can be said that we still fall for it. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like we still fall for it because we're given the benefit of the doubt. But I think the lesson is to try to, from here on out, always move with the idea of like I have to see what they're doing, because then there's less of a chance. But like Jandy said, she was with a guy that was like extremely consistent with certain things, and then at the end, it ended up like fucking it
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
up.
like it's beyond me.
All right, so our next issue, I guess, what it is the age thing. Like, I've done fuck boy shit like a long time ago, and maybe even my 20s. But I'm like, now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, I don't have the energy, I don't have the patience, and also like you become very self aware, and you're like, yo, I can't be doing this at this age. Like, how? But they're still doing it. Yo, they're still doing it. I mean, I don't know your thoughts on the whole age thing, Jandy.
So my experience with, and I agree. I always thought that by the time you did come into your 30s, like that entire game would just be different. And sometimes I almost feel like it's worse because
Mm-hmm.
you don't expect, like, it should not be happening at this point in your life, and it's still happening. And the one thing that I find consistently, that people who do that are usually the people who are broken. We have a lot of emotionally broken people walking around in this world, and instead of trying to take time out to heal themselves and their hearts and their minds, they're looking for people to heal them.
Can it be said that it's very relatable to like inner city development?
Especially,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
especially in the city, because I find, even I just recently had this conversation. I find that especially in New York City, because we live in such a fast-paced environment, everything is accessible. Now you gotta swipe left or right to whoever you like or whatever. Nobody wants to put in the work. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
wants to, like, really take the time out and genuinely get to know a person. They want easy access to everything, and then they wonder why they can't find anything substantial. you know but it's important to really heal yourself. Like, there's people, like, one of the issues that I've ran into recently is like, why are you dating if you're still wounded by a past relationship that 2 years, like, that's still affecting you 2 years later, and you're projecting all of that stuff on me.
Right, right.
I have nothing to do with that. And it's a very manipulative thing to do at the same time. So, and at this decade, now you're talking about children, you're talking about ex marriages, you're talking about, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff and this whole excuse of I'm broken. Listen, at 30 plus years old, who the hell don't got baggage and who ain't broken?
Right.
We're,
Right.
we got cracks damn near everywhere from the tip of our heads all the way to the tip of our toes. The question is, how are we gonna glue these pieces together and make sure they don't continue to crack?
Right, right.
Right.
Well, welcome to the journey of life. If you ain't ready for this, then you need to just stay by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Any words on that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jandy. Keep going.
Okay, no, but that's been sort of like my observation.
Yeah. What about you, Jess?
It's like, it's so funny because it's like she's talking and it's like, why are you talking about my life? Like, that's my life. What are you saying? You're watching me or something?
Nice to know alone.
No, I mean, and it's kind of like, it's really sad when you think about it, because what you said is true. Like, they have these wounds that they don't heal, and then they bleed all over everybody else because they haven't healed those wounds. And it's like, don't take it out on me. I'm not the one that hurt you. And these same hurt people will turn around and say, well, I want to find somebody who's loyal and consistent and it's all about me. But then when you find somebody that way, you're pushing them away because your guard is up and because you don't know what it is like to be treated well. So it's like, to you think that it's fake. So then you start getting on that fuck shit, and it's like, okay, I can't deal with that. And then I have to walk away from it because I also have to preserve myself, because I've been hurt, but I don't treat people like shit. That's the difference.
Thank you.
And it's really sad. Like, I was in a really long-term relationship. I was in a marriage, actually, and it fell apart, but I don't take that out on anybody. And I feel like other people, the things that they've been through, and it's been years and they still haven't healed. But like you said, Janderie, they're still dating when they haven't healed yet, and then they're projecting.
Right, and then creating that vicious cycle that's just everywhere.
Right. And it's such a dangerous thing to do, because what they fail to understand is that you're damaging people
Yes.
by not working through your stuff. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Again, I will reiterate, this is a point in our lives we've done, whoever's done the fuckery has done it, who's ever been, screwed over has been screwed over. It's like, we don't want to deal with that anymore. We're trying to, like, find some kind of equilibrium at this point, or some sense of, like, a balance. And you continuously doing that because you're still in you're still in your feelings or in your space, and you don't want to work through that. That's not fair for the other person that comes into your life. This is why people become bitter.
Yes.
And it's horrible to do that to people, both men towards women and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's bad. I mean, I have to be honest and be like, there's been a good portion of my relationships that went wrong because of myself. And then you become self-aware and you're like, holy shit, I did a lot of damage. I think we've all been there. So it's fair to say that it's very difficult to become self-aware. And then on top of that, like, turn into a better person. That way you're better in relationships. But I think if anybody's watching this that has that fuckery tendencies, I think the best advice we can give is, there's nothing wrong with, like, fucking around. Just stop telling one person and the other person a story. You know what I mean? Instead of just like, hey, this is what I want. Yo, there's people out there that don't want a relationship. They just want to fuck around. So both of y'all get together and do that shit together. But there's people that want to just settle down. They want the real deal. And then these people are coming around and going, because of my low self-esteem and because of my damage, let me feed you something so you give me what I... like that crack, that, like, adrenaline of love, and it's crazy.
Part of that too is, you got to take accountability sometimes for some of your failed relationships. Like, it's not just, even in my case, like I've been in situations where I can honestly say I really didn't do anything, but I did overlook certain signs
Hmm.
that maybe that in the beginning, because like I said, I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Intuitively sometimes we kind of already know more or less, but it's like, maybe it's too early in the game or whatever. So I take ownership sometimes, and I'm actually my own worst enemy. I blame myself sometimes when I shouldn't, because in a lot of the cases it's not my fault. you know
Right.
um but it's important that both sides take account, those that hurt, especially those that hurt, but most importantly those that get hurt too. You gotta, you have to see where and why it failed, and maybe not repeat it, or recognize, and like you said, become self-aware.
Yeah, it's for real. Jess, any words on that?
Yeah, I've had to do a lot of that self-reflection myself, because it's like, even though, like you said, I haven't done anything wrong in my relationships, but I realized that I kind of became an enabler in a way, and it became this kind of toxic codependent where he's fucking up and I keep giving him chances because I keep making excuses for why he's messing up. Oh, he did this because he grew up this way. He does this because he wasn't loved properly as a kid. He did, and it's just like, so I just keep giving them chances. And it's like, when in retrospect, because hindsight is 2020. You
Absolutely.
look back and you're like, I should have left you years ago. I should have cut this off a month into it because I saw the red flags. But I kept making excuses for you because I try to see the best in people. And one thing that I've slowly but surely been learning is that not everybody has the same heart as I do. So I have to stop giving them that benefit of doubt. And I don't want to be a cynic and I don't want to have a wall up, but at the same time, I also, if I'm going to take responsibility for my part in it, then I have to start being self-aware and aware of the things that they're doing that should be giving me these little bells that are going off saying, maybe you should walk away.
Yeah.
Right. So now, if somebody's watching this and wants like some advice on what to look out for, these signs, what would we tell them? I mean, we could just say, hey, the person's got to take action, but what are we looking at? What are we looking for? Because they're slick with it sometimes.
Well, I just learned this one. Anytime somebody tells you you could be doing way better than me, run.
Yeah, they're setting you up, right?
Okay. So that's one lesson I'm taking away from this one. All right. And not only run for the hills and don't look back.
So we're looking for consistency. We're looking for dependency. We're looking for real truth. And I guess the rest we just have to hope for, right? Because at the end, that all could still come like as a lie. But one thing that I've learned heavy, and it's almost like a detoxing, right, of this. But you realize how much you don't listen to your gut and your intuition, right? So I would say when it comes to these things, like, yo, if something's like tickling you down there going, hey, something's not right, it ain't right. Especially the older you get, like you get that sixth sense a little bit, right? Because especially if you have kids and stuff, right? You already got like that parental, like, hey, this guy's not. So now it becomes like, hey, this guy is doing this bad thing, but he looks very good looking. You know what I'm saying? And then people just like forget that shit. And the same goes for a guy, for a female, right? Where you're like, damn, yo, she's trouble, but oof, right? So,
right.
I guess overall big picture is just I don't know, like the consistency, the attention,
reciprocity. Reciprocity is a big one.
Right.
That's a big one, yes, for sure.
Right.
Because they want to take, but they never want to give.
Mm-hmm.
My father used to tell me all the time when I was growing up, when I started dating, he'd be like, try to get somebody that's at your level. He's like, because even though there are relationships that work that are, somebody could be like rich, white, etc., and they can end up with somebody who may be colored, poor, and have like a fucking awesome relationship. But unfortunately, the world doesn't work like that. So a big advice that he used to say is try to get somebody that's at your same level. You got a big heart, make sure they got a big heart. If they're very giving, make sure that they're giving. You know what I'm saying? So that way, there's less chance of down the road saying, yo, I played myself because I thought I saw this, but that's not what it really was. So I thought that was good advice, even though I never took it. But yeah,
we never take it to the beginning. It's not so like scrape our knees and elbows and rap her face that we start to.
Yeah, then I'm gonna be telling my daughter that, and then it's gonna be like, fuck. But yeah. All right, so I really appreciate you guys being on the channel today. Jess, I'm gonna put down your Instagram below so that way they can check you out. Jandy, if you want to look in the camera real quick, because I know you got some stuff to promote, and let us know how to contact you. Go ahead.
So I have a song out with Billy Crespo. It's actually a duet. It's called Dímelo delante de ella. It's a salsa. For those who are interested, you can find the song on iTunes. You can find it on Spotify. Pretty much in any musical outlet, SoundCloud. You can find it everywhere. So definitely check it out. Download it. Hope you enjoy it. It's a cover song by Pimpinela, so you already know. For Malateños, know who Pimpinela is. That's cleaning
Old
music.
school.
That's dope.
That's Sunday morning cleaning music, yeah.
You already know.
It's like, yo, we got guests coming.
Right. You know? You can also find me on Instagram, Simpatica JD, on Instagram, and on Facebook as Janderie. That's Janderie, last name Gutierrez.
Very good. Thank you very much, ladies. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you around. Peace.
Later.
Later.
Bye.